to the Death of a Dream podcast, where all your dreams come true, or maybe they don't, but at least you start moving towards them. And that first step is in acknowledging that your dreams died. I'm just saying, hence the name. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into our great things. Today, and I don't typically date this, but today is Christmas, and that's significant. You know why? I don't know, because it's just like, it's so magical. Like in my head, I instantly go back to that like little kid when I was 8, and I used to sleep with my hand. We lived in this big old house, and there were these like vents, but they were just holes in the ceiling to like get the air upstairs, I suppose. Anyways, there were holes, and I would every Christmas try to sleep with my arm down the hole to try to grab Santa's hat to prove that he was real, because nobody believed in him but me. And I believe in the magic of Christmas. I believe in the magic of Santa. Like, I'm so here for it. And so every night, that's where I would sleep on Christmas, my arm down this vent. And I'm certain that it didn't last long. And no, I never end up grabbing Santa's hat because, well, quite frankly, like, our ceilings were probably 12 foot high, as I remember. I'm sure they were lower than that, but they were high, and Santa would have to be extremely tall for me to just stumble upon and grab his hat. And that was if I stayed conscious, because unconscious fingers would definitely not be grasping at a Santa's cap and holding on to it. Either way, I was determined. But I think, my great thing today is just like that commitment to the magic. There was always just this ever-present pulse of magic in our household around this time, and I've tried to stay very committed to that same pulse. And it was always just so silent and still and beautiful, and there was this huge buildup of just crazy madness of like, we're going everywhere, nothing is settled, everything is crazy. My mom was always crazy around this time, trying to make everything happen, and still is, and everything was crazy. And then I remember waking up super excited, but like also super still for the first time in a long time, because we had been moving at such a frantic pace. And that morning was always just so still. Most things were clean and just like calm and beautiful. And that's probably my favorite part of Christmas, is like just waking up to the pure brilliance and beauty of silence and calm. And I think, you set it up, and we always went to Christmas Eve service, and the setup of that, the silent night that you're asking for, and then what you get in return, is a silent night and a very whole, warm morning. And I think that's all that we can hope for. And definitely this year has been harder than most years. Just with everything that's going on. And so I think all of us can reflect and appreciate the stillness and the magic of everything right now. And, watching my kids' just eyes light up in reaction to the magic, to the beauty, to just everything, is probably what makes it all worth it. So, my great thing is just magic and beauty and all things good and whole. And whatever that looks like for you, I hope that you're getting to experience that. Or, if you don't get to experience, I hope that you're able to recreate that and experience similar things to what you used to have, or something completely different because you wanted to make it better than what you used to have. But I hope for you today and every day that it's whatever you decide it is, and you take control not only in making that happen, but also in manifesting that. Because today I was just like, we're going to pod. We need to get some things shored up and put together, and children need to stay asleep. And so that's just what I asked for. Hey, could we go ahead and keep those little kids asleep for a moment until I get this done? Because I would really love to wake up with them just kind of coming into my room all excited. So we'll find out if they barge in here during this podcast. I guess we'll know that that did not happen. But really, my great thing, just the magic and the wish for you to experience your own kind of magic today and every day. So go ahead and take time. Yes, even today. Recognize yourself for your great thing. Take a moment for yourself, whatever that looks like. Have some tea, have some coffee, have some just life-giving energy and beverage to your day. And make sure that you take time to intentionally enjoy the stillness and the beauty of today. And every day, really, but today especially. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So I sort of became, especially early on in my kids' lives, I sort of became obsessed with this idea of tradition and the importance of storytelling. And, I don't know, I never really had this like strong collection of things that we did repeatedly. But anything that we had that was like that, and I think it just came from, like, it's hard to establish tradition when you're constantly just on the run and on the go. It's hard to even remember what you did the year before. And like, honestly, my parents, if you have 4 kids, you kind of get a hard pass on everything, because I don't know how you do or afford or handle life. So I get it. But for me, there was never like this strong presence of tradition or storytelling. And I think the storytelling part really comes out of there never being time. Like, if you never have extra time, storytelling is kind of a extra adventure, like you only read your kids a story at night if you have extra time at the end of the day. And who has that? Not many people, right? And so that's kind of where a lot of my stories got lost, just in this idea that the world has to run and run and run. And when you're working on that, you never really have a chance. And I think that this happens in 2 ways. One, when you're working at that pace, and when that pace is sort of destructive to you being able to live the life that you want to live. And 2, when you are never able to kind of recover and get to a good baseline, right? When you're just constantly like being knocked down, when you're constantly having to recover from trauma after trauma or experience after experience. This is just extra. Storytelling is extra. Memories are extra. And so I think for a lot of those reasons, I didn't have that. So when I started my life, it was very important for me to start documenting a lot of it. Like, I wanted all the pictures and all the videos, and I wanted a way to tell that story, and I wanted a way for my kids to be able to tell that story, or for me to be able to tell that story to all the people that they meet. Like, who is this child? What are they about? How do I have proof for them when they come back and they're looking for examples or experiences? Like, can I speak to them about the things that they were about the things that excited them? Like, do I even have anything in front of me that can help me to help them, right? And so I just started diligently collecting. And one of the most beautiful things about my husband and his family is like they have boxes and boxes and boxes of pictures and ornaments and just all of these beautiful things that just told the story, right? His story. Someone was keeping track of it. And I have things, but they're few and far between. And I didn't want that for my kids. And I know that a lot of our things just came from just life shifting at weird points in time. And no one exactly knowing how to handle that. And so that's unfortunate, but that's the reality that we all kind of live with. And so that set me up to want to capture all things. So one of my favorite things that we started doing, one year I was in a gift shop and I saw the most beautiful kind of vintage fabric covered book. And you opened it and it just had these like beautiful pages with texture, and I was like, I don't know what I would ever do with this book, but I need this book. It's so gorgeous. And so I bought that book really with no intention of what I was going to do with it. And I came home and I kind of hung out with it and we put it away. And when we got it out the next year, I was like, what's this book about? Why did I need this book? And so we started this tradition. We started writing down all of the things, like the kids' Christmas wish list, and I'll post this on my Instagram, probably story. No, maybe I'll put it in the post. But we wrote down from year to year what the girls wanted every year since they were born, and it's so cool because like those are the kinds of things that you ask, like, oh, what did I want? And I think for them, they'll be able to go, oh, when I was 5, I wanted Barbies. And, as you look at like a timepiece, that's super cool, right? What was cool when I was this age? What was cool when I was this age? And I don't know. So anyways, that's what we decided we would do with the book. And then we also went ahead and put in there our Christmas card from every year, because also what a cool way to see our family kind of grow throughout the years. And now we add different mementos. So like now we'll put in a letter that they wrote to Santa, or we'll put in a picture that they drew, or whatever kind of is meaningful from that year gets added to that book. And when we started, similar to our great things, it was kind of fun. The kids were little, and now it's like that's the one thing we look forward to pulling out every year. And we know what's on those lists, right? We see them every year, but it's still so much fun. And the girls love the day that we pull that book out, because we sit down, we take time with it, we talk about it, we look at how big they've gotten from this year. We look at all those Christmas cards, we experience all of that again, and it's like one of the most amazing kind of things that we've put together so far, right? And I guess that's kind of the gift that we could all start giving ourselves back. And this year has been so amazing because it's called a lot of people into stillness that they would have never experienced before. And some of us are going to go ahead and just rush right back into life because that stillness was scary and we want out of that as fast as possible. And those people probably never allowed themselves to experience the slowness. But for some of us, right, we slowed down. We took time. We got to experience things that we had never experienced before. We got to see our kids. We got to spend that time doing the things we wanted to, like just sitting down and having conversations with people, getting to just take time where we want. And so for some of us, we're not going to go back. Now, some of us will be forced back because the world is probably ran more by the people who were like, speed it back up. I don't want this. I don't like this pace. This pace is lazy and stupid, and I want to keep moving. So some of us will be forced back. But even if we're forced back, you can still take back these traditions. Take the day of PTO, bake the freaking cookies, take the time to read and collect the stories. Because if we don't, those things don't get passed on, right? Like, okay, Coco. This is I think it's Disney, but it's a kids movie. Yeah, it's Disney, right? Yeah, it's Disney, and it's about the Day of the Dead. And after I watched this movie, I was just like, can we do that? Can we have that? Because I don't talk about, my grandparents who have passed away. I don't tell those stories. I don't talk about these people who have gone before us. Their legacy, memory, gone, essentially. My kids don't know about those people, right? But like, they were here. They're part of who we are, even though we don't talk about them anymore. And so how do you bring that up? Like, what a weird thing to bring up. And probably a lot of you are just going, you just talk about them. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what I would say. I don't even know how to bring it up. And so those stories are inevitably gone. Gone from our family, gone from traditions, just gone, washed away, like they never happened. And I think for me, like, it would have been nice. It would have been so beautiful to know those things. And I'm not just talking about like tracing back a family tree. Like, I'm talking about actually knowing who those people are, like what they did. I can vaguely remember one of my grandmas maybe worked in the Blacks building in Waterloo, and I don't know why I remember that, and I don't remember what she did. But like, I want to know more. I want to know more about that, and I want a place to keep it, right? Because once we return to this pace, stories start to fade again. And maybe you got a chance this year, right, to re-experience your stories, to slow down, to start looking at the pictures, to start asking the questions like we used to, essentially. I mean, back in the day, I suppose that everyone gathered with their grandparents and we sat around fires and we talked about the good old days and we talked about grandpa and grandma and all of the things that you used to do with them. And like, we used to have these beautiful, slow, generation after generation gathering together and storytelling. And my belief is that that is going away, or has long since seen its time, and we just don't operate at that pace anymore. And so my biggest fear is that those legacies, those traditions, those stories fade away and stop existing. And those stories are inevitably your origin story. And like in Coco, he wanted, sorry, I'm going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and turn off the next, I don't know, minute, 2 minutes of this. But he wanted to be a musician. And there was like this steady pulse of, no, you won't. And he didn't really know why he had this call, because everyone hated music in their family. But he knew, like, he felt this in his soul. And he had to go back and find that history in order for him to like give himself permission and to understand why he had this call, why, and to allow him to actually believe that he could or he should be great at this, right? And so there's significance there. There's an ability to believe in something that you can't see because of this tradition, right? And so, like, what a beautiful gift to give to your children, for them to know and understand why they're called to some certain things, and to believe beyond things that they're being told, right? That's the beauty of stories. When you can see it, right? And even if it's not someone in your family, that's the beauty. Stories transcend. They allow you to believe in anything. And so that's the importance, right? Capturing those stories, capturing those traditions, because it allows you to pass something on. It allows you to extend beyond just your time here, right? And so for us, like the book, that'll be a tradition that hopefully gets passed on to my kids, and maybe gets passed on to their kids, and that tends to extend and grow however it does. But that commitment to that one thing year after year after year, and the passing and the importance of it, and what is that doing? Well, it's telling some sort of story for my kids that eventually they'll be able to tell to their significant others, to their children, to whoever they may want to tell that to, right? To their, however the world works. And I'm so excited to be able to house that. We also have just book after book after book of photos of the girls. And since pace is against all of us, I knew that there was going to be a problem with me committing to sitting down and doing that one thing. And so I actually have it's called Chatbooks, and this is one of my favorite things that we do. And this is not a Christmas tradition, but this is definitely something you should look into if you want to document things and have a place where they live. So Chatbooks is an app on your phone, and it will automatically pull favorited photos into just photo books. And they're probably you can make them as big as you want. Ours are 8x8, but they're they stay in order, and they just pull directly from your phone. And so my girls essentially have the entirety of their lives documented in these books, time, right? From June 6th, 5th, dang it, from June 5th to today, December 25th, 2020, there is a sequenced picture book for every moment that we have captured. And, for them, when they come home someday, when they're big and grown up and they come back, we'll have those. We'll have that, essentially the encyclopedia of our family. We'll have that. And, I think that's the beauty of the products that exist now. The pace in which we operate doesn't allow us to do the same things that we used to be able to do, right? To sit down, to make sure that we're scrapbooking everything, to make sure that we're doing XYZ. And really, if that's something that you feel passionate about, craft out that time, it's going to be worth it. But I think for me, looking for products that work with our lifestyle, because I'm not using a camera that I'm going to take to a store and get printed off, or that I'm even going to upload to a computer. There's just no way that that's going to happen for me. I'm capturing everything on my phone. There's no way that I'm going to take two things to capture. It's happening on phone and on Snapchat. And so I need something that can deliver me a quality product that works with our life, with where we are. And where we are is not slowing down anytime soon. And that's okay too, right? I could commit to things that I just want to do, or I can commit to the reality of life. And that's that. I want traditions that transcend and that work for where we are, and stop trying to make traditions happen that don't work, right? And I think that was a lot of where we spent our childhood, trying to make things happen that everyone else made happen. That never really rang true, right? And so, like, year after year, we'd try to recreate these things, and it just wasn't working because we kept trying to reinvent the wheel. And honestly, we kept trying to do things that worked for other people that just didn't work for us. So, like, if you're a camera phone person, by the way, sign up for Chatbooks. I'll actually put a referral link because I think if you sign up under my link, you get your first book free, but like it's automatic. You can subscription, so they just like pull off your phone automatically, and you'll get a text like, hey, you've finished another book, it's shipping today. And they're just everything. My kids love getting the books in the mail because it's like they get to go back through what they did last month and remember what that was like. And a couple of times a year, we just have a Saturday where we just sit down with the books and like look at how little they were and get to experience all that again. And then my younger daughter gets mad when she's not in some of the books. She doesn't understand that she wasn't born yet. And like, it's just a wonderful, magical experience to like go through and relive all of that and to have a place where all of it lives. It's so amazing. So that's like one of the things that I recommend, but that was kind of a weird thing. But really, like, some of the things that used to happen aren't happening anymore. And it's our job to sit down and figure out how we want to make that happen now. It probably is going to have to look different than it used to. Even, even our grandparents are busier than they used to be. And it used to be that one person stayed home and kind of made life work, and the other one went out and made finances work. And that's not our reality, but that's where a lot of our lives were kind of built around. And so many of those traditions that we're trying to hold on to and make happen aren't possible because we don't live in that world, and we shouldn't be expected to keep up that pace based on something that really isn't our reality anymore. Sorry, I know. So today, I allow you to change up your traditions according to what you want. And I think more than anything, your job here, right? No matter what, whether you have a family, whether you don't, your job here is to keep your story going, to keep that story and narrative told, because your life is important. And you deserve, whether you're a founding father or not, like, you deserve to exist long after you're gone. And I want a way for everyone to keep that story alive, to keep their memory alive long after they're gone. And that's like super important to me. And I think two things have to happen for that to happen. One, you have to believe that you're significant enough, that you've left enough of a mark for your story to be told. And that's a huge shift for all of us to make, because you're so important to the people in your life. If no one's ever told you that, you should know that. And like a real George Bailey moment where you matter. If you didn't exist, the world would be a drastically different place, period. And so believe that your story deserves to be told long after you're gone. And where do we keep that? I don't know. We can keep creating new traditions. We can keep finding things that work for us. But inevitably, your job is to keep stories going that matter. And finding a way to do that is extremely personal and different for everyone. So start looking into that. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world. Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas.